Hi, I'm Jim. I'd like to show you how to tie off our winter cover to your cradle. First thing is to start by running the rope under the cradle, and then you're going to go up top on your ladder up to the cover. Up here, our technique is to run the rope through one of the two webbing loops and tie off on the second. I like using a bowline, but you could use just a couple of half hitches too. Push the knot through, then tuck the collar underneath. And then you see the second webbing loop slides right through the first. And as it tightens, it shuts the collar up top, and your cover is effectively closed. We're going to use a trucker's hitch to tie off on the cradle here. First thing is about 2 feet above the cradle, I'm going to tie in a loop. I'm just putting a half hitch loop in, nothing fancy. And then I pull the rope around the cradle, and at about the same height as the loop, I'm going to cut the rope. And I'll show you my method of using an electrician's tape. I'm going to wrap the tape around the rope a couple of inches, pull it tight, and then using a knife, I'm going to cut through. And that does a real nice job of binding the rope. So then finally, to tension the rope, I'm going to insert the free end through that loop. I'm going to pull down tight. I pinch off the top, and I've got enough rope length here. I've just got a loop. I'm going to take that loop through again and make another half hitch. So there we have it, a trucker's hitch, tensioning our rope. I'd like to show you how to tie off your cover under the hull using a trucker's hitch. The first step is to take the free end of the rope and tie it off onto the cover. This is a zipper connector, and we have 2 loops on one on either side of the zipper. I'm going to pass the rope through the first loop and tie off on the second loop. I like making an elongated bowline. Makes it a little easier. You can pass that knot through the loop quite easily. Pulling through, we get that second loop pulled right through the first. And this creates a real strong attachment point for our rope. We're going to work under the hull here. Take the rope just past center line, and we're going to tie off a loop, and we're going to cut the rope. Again, using my tape method, I span the rope about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, wrapping the rope tightly with the electrician's tape. This does a real nice job of binding the rope. And I'll cut through it here. So this is the starboard side. We have a loop at the end of a rope that's just past the center line. Okay, this is the second half of tying off our cover under the hull using a trucker's hitch. Now this is a little trick of mine that makes it a little easier. I've got the free end of the rope here. I'm going to reach over and grab that loop, pass the free end through the loop. I'm going to walk right up my ladder and tie off on the cover above. Again, we have a zipper with tie-off loops on either side of the zipper. I'm going to pass the rope through the first loop and tie off on the second. Again, I like an elongated bowline, makes it a little easier. I'm going to sneak that knot through the first loop, and as you tension the cover, That really provides an incredibly strong attachment point. Working under the hull, I'm going to pull out that excess line, and about 2 feet away from that original loop, I'm going to tie in a second loop. Again, it's just a half hitch, nothing fancy. And at this point we can figure out how long to make that second rope. I'm going to pull it up, and at about that loop length I'm going to cut it. We have our rope cut, and now we can tension under the hull. I'm going to pass that free end through and start tensioning. And you'll notice that I've got enough rope length here that I'm actually able to create a 3-to-1 purchase. I'm going to just run that rope through this first loop again. And now I can really crank down on it and get that rope super tight. And then finally, to finish it off, I'm going to pinch here. Pull a couple of half hitches using the loop. And that rope is good to go. When you remove your cover in the spring, remember to leave the ropes always tied to the cover. All you need to do is release the trucker's hitches and slip the ropes through the webbing loops up top. So here, starting off by untying this trucker's hitch off the cradle. And then up on the cover, instead of untying the rope, you're just going to slide it right through the webbing loop and leave it tied in. Now the cover can just get pulled right off, and next fall when you go to install the cover, your rope will be set up and it'll make it lickety-split fast.